was you who brought them into this life, so you've got a responsibility. If you value that responsibility, if you value those things, like as children, what we bring into this world, then your child's got to be up there as one of your first priorities.
Kids just need love, you know, and they just need to have fun and enjoy being a kid, and they don't need all that turmoil around them. And I think that if people can realise that and keep that turmoil away from their child when they're going through this process, then I think they're going to do everyone a favour, especially that child later on.
Somebody, she told me.
It's just hard, like, not seeing Dad a lot, I think, was the hardest thing, having to get used to that, because, like, when I got upset all the time, I just want to be with Dad and talk to him, but I couldn't. I didn't like talking to Mum when I was younger, so I just kind of bottled it all up.
Going through a marriage breakup, particularly when there's children involved, is one of the most difficult things that you'll ever have to go through. I think almost more so than death, because at least with death there's an end. You know, you go through your grieving process, you go on. With a marriage breakup, when there's children between you, you know, you've got that person that you had your relationship with is going to be around until those children are grown up.
When we first separated, the kids had a particularly rough deal, I feel, because here they are, their dad's leaving home. I mean, the tension that led up towards it, the final blow, so to speak, that he left, and I was not in an emotional position to deal with the fallout of the marriage breakdown for 5 people. For several months I was taking, not even one day at a time, 1 hour at a time emotionally, just coping with it. And I can't say that my parenting skills were anywhere near peak, let alone my sensitivity, and it was all a bit of a blur. And then as I felt that I was coping better, I could see my ability to go back to, you know, dealing with parenting issues much more sensitively. But for that period of time, probably the most important period of time, when they needed me the most, I wasn't there. And I don't know what else I could have done.
When I was my mum arguing, my mum and my dad arguing at the beginning, I just really stayed in my room and had my door shut. But then when my mum started arguing with me, then that's when I started to start hitting people and throwing things around.
I had a breakdown, and it was kind of like just emotionally, I was pretty fucked up. Just didn't know what to do, and I just thought, just go to work and just like anything would just make me just start crying and stuff, and just I just couldn't handle it. And that was when I started getting into running. You know, when you're running, if you're sweating and you're crying, well, people don't know the difference. You just, you know, it doesn't matter.
We used to hide in any place we could find, really, a lot.
What I didn't like was they were always fighting.
I grew up learning how to grow up as to be a woman, to get married and have children, not to have a marriage break up and deal with the fallout. So, you know, just like the baby doesn't come with a manual, a separation doesn't come with a manual, you know.
Always, all the way through, you know, both her father and I have always said to her, this isn't about you, this is about us. This is about your dad and I. It's got on, you know, it's not about you, you know. And she knows that he adores her and I adore her, and It's how it is.
But they're always still going to have that feeling in the back of their head that it's their fault or they did something wrong or
yeah. I've always said to them that it's not them.
They still
it's
think
not
it.
you.
So.
But no matter how many times you say that, they'll still think it.
When they yell at each other from custody, I feel sort of confused and sort of guilty because they're arguing over me. And then they're adults and I can't really do anything because I'm sort of, still pretty young.
What she understands intellectually, she can't process emotionally yet because she was still only, she still is, only a child.
People talk about children being really resilient. Children are only a little bit resilient. That sounds bad, but we can't expect children to be resilient. Things hurt. Things are painful. So we don't need to impose stuff on our children that they don't need to experience.
He just was a very, very angry boy. Really angry. So angry that I did not know what to do. I had no idea. And it was all vented on me because obviously I was here. But the other thing was, because I'd asked Paul to leave, it was my fault. So for a long time, Josiah blamed me. He was only about 6, but he was angry at me. And the circumstances, I was quite within my rights to kick him out. What I'd been through for the years before was just sheer hell. But there's no way I was going to, or could, tell Josiah why I'd made that decision. As far as he could see, I was the baddie, Daddy was the goodie, and that was that.
Mum told me a lot about what was happening and why it was happening, so I understood it really well.
I was very honest with Quinn, very honest with him. What did I tell him? I told him that Mum and Dad used to be partners and we're not partners anymore. And I even got into, not into detail, but just explained that his father and I were not happy together and that we argued and that wasn't okay and that's why we're apart and we're friends and we don't argue anymore. So if you put kind of a positive spin on it, I think maybe helps them to deal with it.
They talked to me about it and they tried to make me understand why they were doing it, and yeah, that was quite comforting that they did that.
There's a fine line between how much you involve them, but I think as a parent, hopefully you know what your children can take in and comprehend. I think we involved them when we felt it was the right time.
And being really honest with them, really straight up about everything in terms of they ask their questions, what happened, Mum? And having to tell them, but I didn't sort of sit there and go, blah, blah, blah. I just sort of give information that I felt was appropriate but didn't deny the actual questions around it.
And if you can be honest with them about it, then, you'll have no trouble, no worries with them.
Because the relationship was deteriorating while we were together, as soon as we separated, it was almost like, because it was so much better and it was a weight off our shoulders, it was much easier to communicate and be honest and, talk about things, because we'd kind of removed the relationship umbrella and then we were just like two parents who just wanted the best for their kids. And we decided it was much better for our children to see us functional apart than dysfunctional together.
At the very start, when it's it's difficult and it's awkward to talk to an ex-partner, something like email or texting is good because you can just move all the information about kids from one partner to the other, because there's always a lot of different arrangements that need to be made.
There has to be that communication too with your ex-partner too. Because face it, there's going to be the 5th birthdays, there's going to be the 16th, then the 21st, there's always going to be that some sort of something raised at the school about the issues, and fortunately now it's really good. They're good issues. They're not bad. It's just how we could advance and do better for our kids.
Just learning those basic communication skills, just to take a step back and try and see it from the other's point of view. Do the I statements instead of the you statements, and not pointing the finger, and realising that both of your goals are to, parent your children well.
A lot of flexibilities come through mum and dad speaking, and it's just been awesome.
If that child is happy, you will be happy, and that other person will be happy. If you don't communicate, then there's a breakdown, and when things break down, there's a lot of tension, and there's a lot of animosity towards families. And a lot of families, being a Pacific Islander, all the families want to be part of that problem. So you don't want to be part of the problem, you want to be part of the solution. And that's the advice I like to give to parents that are separated. Just move on with your life, communicate, communicate, and communicate. That's it.
Now's around about time I should be asking where I'm going and what's the plan. So many ideas circulate and should be able to make a stand.
Very early on, we sort of decided the week about would give the week about a go. I mean, it just seemed fair for everyone concerned. Beck's a good mum, I'm a good dad. The kids get to spend equal time with both of us.
Every second weekend, I get to see my mother. She said to me that whenever I want to see her or talk to her, she's always there for me, which is really good. I feel that's really important.
At the beginning of our split, to share the load, we used to swap houses. So this is the family home, and so I moved out when he moved in. And in fact, my little one used to say, "Daddy comes, Mummy goes, Daddy comes, Mummy goes," and it was just part of the way that they they learnt. And I think from that, they actually felt quite safe and still nurtured by us both.
The house is opened for both, to come in and out and be with the children, so those are the kind of arrangement that we have made, because he's here with the children and, cooks meals for them and does the washing, he still has those caring contributions towards the household that I welcome because, I work long hours.
The kids don't have mum and dad's place, they have their places, and we've made it really important that they have their own space and their own rooms and their own things, and so it doesn't look as though they're going to an empty parental home. They have Danielle's got all her girly stuff here, just as she's got all her girly stuff there. David has a complete mess at his dad's, and
his mum tidies his room at her place,
and I tidy his room at my house. So it's quite interesting. But we have that, they have their own space, and that's what they're entitled to.
It works for me because it's structure, and I like structure, so it's easier for me.
I do believe strongly that children need to know when they're going to see their other parent. I do believe that they need a set routine. Children love routines. If they know they're going to go and see their father on a certain weekend, they build up to that. When it doesn't happen, it's so bitterly disappointing for them. It's the other parent who's left behind picking up the tears, and the kids throw tantrums and they get shitty and they throw wobblies. It's you that has to wear it every time a parent lets them down.
I wanted a more structured setup, and he wanted a more flexible setup. It worked for me knowing the times that the children would be with their father, and I think now that the communication's happening, it's a lot more, flexibility's a lot more accessible.
At the start, it was kind of tense because, it was very structured and, have to go to Dad's, for this period of time, from 6 o'clock to 6 o'clock on that day. It felt very uneasy and it didn't feel like home at all. And Dad, it was hard. But as we've kind of moved on, and Mum and Dad have started talking, we've been able to arrange times that we can go maybe stay on for an extra day, and that's worked out quite nicely. And, I think we're all much happier.
If I get held up at work, I just have to let Scott know, and vice versa. So it's about... But you've got to look at it as a parental thing, just as if you were still married. There's still that give and take. It's not about, well, I'm sorry, it's your week, you've got to deal with it. It's about that give and take.
But it's interestingly enough, that's not that easy for the kids to take on board, because they'll often, the number of times I've said, is it okay if I come stay Thursday night, because it's not their week to be with me, and the number of times you've got to say to them, look, you can stay anytime. You don't have to ask.
If we had a birthday party or friends having a birthday, we would ask if we could change it so we could go down the next following weekend.
Talk to your children as well. Don't think you're making the best decisions for your kids, because sometimes you're not, because you're emotionally involved.
When your parents just stop seeing you, it sort of feels like you have no parent at all there. Then you've always got the other one that will be there, but when you stop seeing someone, it's like they're just gone, vanished out of the world. But then they are there, but you don't see them. And that's sort of hard for me.
I find it actually quite sad that at 16, that I don't actually want to be involved with them anymore, and that in my point of view, that is his fault for not being there through my life. So it's just, now with me, it's, well, he hasn't been there before, so why bother now?
When they do go out, it's great for her. She comes home, full of bounce and full of light, and that's wonderful. It's really wonderful, and I never want them to not have that time together and not have that bond. This is for her to learn what having a man in your life is all about. This is what she's going to base her judgment of men in her life in the future on how he behaves to her.
He needs to spend time with his mum, because he tells me that. he knows that, and hell, I mean, it's got to be natural. There's got to be mother and child. There has to be a very strong bond there.
You know how sometimes you need your dad and sometimes you need your mum, and if you just live with your mum and you need your dad, you can't. It's just, he's gone. You can't find him. So I think it's really important to have your mum and dad with you for a whole life.
Don't have your conversations in front of the children. Just be sure that they are where you think they are. If you think they're in one room, go far enough away that they can't hear.
They were coming back with stories like, Mum, Daddy says this and Daddy says that, and you're this and that, and I'd say, that's okay. I can take that, and keep reminding him, I don't do that to you. Don't do that to me. I don't say that about you. Don't say that about me. What are you doing? You're making it harder for them because they're getting two mixed messages. Keep it simple. Keep them out of it, but make sure that they know what's going on. Keep reaffirming to them that you love them.
My mum would always say that my dad wasn't putting in enough effort and he didn't care about how I was feeling, but I knew that wasn't true.
He still says bad things about Mum, and
I just ignore it because I know it's not true, and if something sounds sort of a bit more real than all the others, I ask Mum about it, and she says, nah, some of it's true, but no, he exaggerates it.
There's always going to be times when, X pisses you off and you want to vent about it, but you just don't do it,
No.
via the kids.
If we want to do that, we'll have a coffee together.
Yep.
And we have done that when we've had a coffee together and we've sat down and we've talked about it, because that's our stuff. That's our issue to deal with. It's got nothing to do with our children, and they don't need to hear it, and they don't need to own it. We're the ones who need to own it.
When they would fight, we were kind of caught in the middle, and it was really hard because Mum would say bad things about Dad to us. It would hurt our feelings because we respected him and stuff, and then Dad would say bad things about Mum, which was the same. And it was hard because we just wanted them to get along and be friends. And
now that they're going through their divorce, it kind of gets a bit messy because they try and find out stuff about each other through us.
Because you were kind of relaying the message, they'd get angry at you, not the other parent, so you'd get involved in their arguments.
Once they're off the phone or stop talking, they'll come and talk to us and ask us why we told them, and we'll say sorry.
You shouldn't have told them, and
get kind of angry, and then we get angry at the other parent for telling, and it just goes round in circles.
I guess how I dealt with it, I didn't really deal with it. I just kept it inside. Now that I really think about it.
Being in that position, I felt used, and I always felt depressed and sad, and like I betrayed one of them when I did it.
That carried on for about 3 years, and we got help with Kerry, and that changed it. And Mum and Dad started talking to each other and discussing problems and started communicating properly, and that was excellent. It was great,
You don't want to teach children to tell that to have another adult tell your children that this is a secret and you can't tell anyone. I didn't sort of want to start that. So I said, there are no secrets. Whatever happens at home happens. This is your life, okay? So you can say whatever you like when you're at Dad's. You can talk about this, and we're painting the house, or we got a new car, or we went on holiday. There are no secrets about what goes on here. It's your life. It's just like talking about school or your friends, or, so they were more, I think they didn't ever go there feeling like they're not allowed to say this or you're not allowed to say that.
One of my children, who was 4 when we split up, is now 9, and he wrote a poem in school about guilt. And it was just the most heart-wrenching poem about guilt, and the teacher rang me straight away and was really quite concerned that a child of 9 should understand guilt in such a heavy way. And so for me, that was my trigger point to get him to see Kerry, to understand what was going on for him, and that revealed back to when he was 4 the anger he felt but couldn't express at that stage. So we've been able to now deal with that issue. So I've used accounts, and that took 2 sessions, so it wasn't a biggie. And so I use Kerry whenever one of the kids shows some sort of indicates to me that they're not coping as well as they could.
It helped me fix my hitting people and that problems, and then it all I gradually came better and better.
I reckon the council thing, I don't know what it's called, was pretty cool, because I just got to talk about things at the time that I wouldn't have said to Mum and Dad. So it was like having my own little friend there that I could just say whatever, and then she would say to Mum and Dad, and they'll try to work out all the problems. So that was a pretty good idea for them to do.
Counselling just really helped me, just talking about problems, and just helped me.
they ended up, he dropped me off with the kids and all our boxes, and they were in the middle of this room here. And they said, oh, is there anything else you need? I said, oh, can I have a packet of cigarettes, some chocolate and a bottle of wine? And so they came back and then they left me, and I went outside to have a cigarette. And I had the three choices: chocolate, cigarette or wine. So I ate the chocolate, smoked the cigarettes and put the wine away for later. And so I've become a smoker again. But I needed to leave the alcohol. I knew that if I'd taken up that glass of wine, that might not have been the last bottle that I would have consumed, and I needed to be sober and awake for being with the children. And that's what I mean. It's making that real conscious decision to be conscious about what I was doing, no matter how much it hurt me and no matter how much I didn't want to be responsible.
I was shocked about how I felt, to be quite honest, because I'd been through so much before, I thought I was over it when it was over, but in fact it was actually only beginning. And the grief that I felt for at least a good year, or two even, this year's been a better year for me. I'm moving into another place, for me and the girls.
If we'd gone for a split custody right from the outset, you still lose 50% of your time with your children, and